Hey traders, this is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group with your Monday recap. And for the major indices, a lot of chop. Monday after the Super Bowl, everybody felt a little bit sleepy today. There was some volatility in Europe. Europe opened their session down quite a clip. So we actually did okay, considering S&P was down about 20 basis points, where the DAX finished down, I think, a little bit under 1%. Let me just check it here. Let's see. The DAX finished down, down 1.2%. Euro stocks were down 1%. So overall, considering we saw this about a week ago when we got in the morning and Europe was down quite a bit, we sold off right on the open. We just didn't get that volatility today. Which is fine. I'm not complaining about that. Nasdaq was the stronger of the three that I look at between S&P, Nasdaq, and small caps. Nasdaq did okay, tried to rally a couple times today, but again, very choppy. And what we look at in the beginning of the day is market breadth. And for the majority of the days, the last 2 weeks, we've opened up and we can see that it's kind of like mixed market breadth is negative. Just kind of gives you a real good pulse of what type of a day it's going to be in terms of day trading. So that was Nasdaq. Just quickly looking at small caps, IWM, because they were weak today, which I never really like to see that in the market. However, it does kind of make sense today, given the European indices. But we finished down 75 basis points. Once we broke value, we were kind of hanging in there till about 12 o'clock today. So interesting. Once Europe closed, sometimes the market gets a bid. Today we actually saw the opposite. Europe closed and small caps started to sell off. So immediately once I see this, once we have a break of value, let me just get market breadth out of here because I don't need that anymore. Off my indicators just so you could see the charts a little bit more in depth. But once we have this break of value, I immediately start to look at what's the next area of support, and we found that pretty clearly today. Not too much of a big deal. Once we broke that value area, the next thing to notice is on the hour bar. Where's the next area of support? So I actually tweeted this out. I said, I don't think we're going down too far. 135, I think 57 is what I put out on Twitter. But you could see on the first hour bar that we actually broke it. We came right back up. So we did get a little bit of volatility, but we ran right into support here on the top of value in small caps. So it'll be interesting to see if this maintains for tomorrow. That's what I would be focused on for the major indices. Take a look at that 135.57 level. That'll be support. If not, we may be moving into the weekly value area, which was pretty decently wide here. So we'll have to just look for it till tomorrow. There was some nice day trades that were available. We kind of caught this one right from the start. We go over all these levels pre-market, and one of the things that looked like an interesting setup to me because we were looking at the top of value, right below the top of value we were in Apple pre-market, and I put my alert right at 129, just a couple cents above the top of value, 129.35. And real nice play for Apple today. Even if you missed it on the first 5-minute bar, you had some continuation here. So real strong, and that was basically the only one. There was Google and Facebook kind of flirted with kind of coming back a little bit today. But as I mentioned in the pre-market session this morning, I just really wasn't that. Didn't really have a big appetite for some of these FANG names. I think they need to digest a little bit. The one name besides Google that I'm interested in, I think it's not Amazon, but I just want to talk about Amazon. Did come back from the lows. Maybe we get one more day of chop. I would like to sell put spreads in Amazon, but I'm kind of just waiting for the 3-day rule after earnings for that to take place. Maybe I'm missing a little bit of an opportunity, but I'm being a little bit conservative here. And then Netflix, which we saw a nice call buyer at the end of the day. So this kind of woke up. This besides Apple, you got to look at what names really beat earnings, and Netflix did too. And Netflix seems like it's trying to wake up. There was a really nice call buyer at the end of the day, and I think I have it here in my notes. Right here, the Feb 140 calls. Nice chunky order that went up. This was about 5 or 10 minutes before the close, and you could see the price reaction here. So I think this is definitely a name to watch for tomorrow. It's still holding the earnings gap, and maybe you could see a push to the top of value in Netflix. So that's what I'm kind of one of the names that I'm focused on for tomorrow, AMD. We've just seen continuous call buying in this name, just complete. You could use as many adjectives as you want. Complete blast off, but it's just been seeing repetitive call buying. On Friday, we saw January call buying. Today, I think it was also January as well. January 2018, 15 calls. So they just continue to go after this. We also saw calls in NVIDIA, which also reports this week. We saw weeklies, so nice performance there as well. These two names kind of move in tandem a bit. Not exactly one for one performance, but usually when one's doing well, the other one does the same. So it's a nice little catch trade that, if you see one rallying and the other one hasn't taken off, usually they do follow each other. Sometimes it's this one going up first, sometimes it's AMD, but nevertheless, they do move very nicely together. And then really the star of the day was the gold miners. And we talked about the gold miners in the weekly video, the weekend video, as well as my weekend newsletter, seeing a lot of inflows. First inflows that we've seen in gold since pre-election. So, GDX has had a nice day up, which typically can have 4% days. It's not really that ordinary for GDX, but where there was some really nice strength was GDXJ, the junior call miners. I call these the gold miners on steroids. So this this thing, it was up 7.7% today. We saw a couple times call buyers come in GDXJ. They actually went after a couple different strikes out in March. So they didn't even go after the weeklies, which is nice. They actually went out a little bit further, meaning that there may be a little bit more to this move, especially if the dollar is weaker. You could see GDXJ is now firmly above the 200-day moving average. And that's also very encouraging to see that. Sometimes when names hit the 200-day moving average, sometimes they fail or sometimes they're just a little bit above. But you could see it was kind of a power move today in GDXJ above that 200-day moving average. I've been long a couple different miners. I've been long one of the silver miners, AG. Had a really nice day today as well. This one was up 7% today. And then ABX, which continues to kind of chug along here since this thing has gotten over the 200-day moving average. It hasn't really looked back too much. Had a couple days where it moved down, but I'm still long this one. So looking pretty good on some of these mining plays. So that was the real mover, and then the other thing is, it's always interesting once you see the once the aggressive call activity takes place in some of the leverage names. This is the 3 times. A lot of people are familiar with Nugget, NUGT. That's the 3 times gold miners. This JNUG is the 3 times junior gold miner. So as I mentioned, gold miners on steroids. I need another adjective for GDXJ, 3 times levered, but you can see up 22% in this name today, just completely on fire. Other names, so I'm just going to conclude here. Other names that we saw option activity, there was a couple other really short-term chunky orders. There was a repetitive buyer in UTX. That name did okay. Microsoft, we saw a nice chunky play, about a 4,000 lot. Again, very short-term. This was a weekly option. However, we analyzed this in the trading room today. For a name that after earnings had a nice move up, and it's just been kind of digesting that move. You have your defined support here in Microsoft, the top of value, which is 63.55. So that's another name that will be on my watch list tomorrow. I did not play this one. Kind of had my hands full with a couple day trades today. We also saw some big block of MGM, and once you're kind of day trading a couple of these names, you can always, especially this one, especially in a choppy market, you don't necessarily have to take every order. If there's huge momentum in the day, then okay, you can pile on. But today it was like, we saw the market breadth and the momentum was kind of absent for today. So, we've got a couple setups that we have for tomorrow. Speaking of MGM, I did take this one today, and I hung in some of it. I took off 2/3 of the positions for a little bit of profits. It wasn't a home run today, but call it maybe a single to double, maybe a stretch double on a couple of them. I got into the trade for 26 cents. I almost hit a 40 cent target. I took a little bit off for about 37 cents, mostly the majority of it off at 33 cents. But we'll see if we get a little bit of continuation tomorrow in MGM. And you can see actually 20,000 of these actually traded today. So just to kind of round this out, what else do we see? We saw a little bit of a Verizon call buyer out to October, a little bit of IBMs today. ESV, which is an interesting oil driller. We saw this on Friday too in ESV. This one I want to look at with all the moving averages because it really kind of puts things in perspective. You could see that it's been basing for a long time, and another one that you have defined support with ESV. This one was a little bit longer dated too that they went out to. They were buying January 13 calls in this one, so not just one of those weekly or front month calls going up. But they actually went out to January for that one. And if you draw this back a little bit further, look at a 5-year chart, you can see that this name, worthy of taking a shot as long as it's continues to stay above those moving averages. Because if you look at where this name came from, it was a $50-$60 stock once oil was obviously a lot higher then. But an interesting play nonetheless. What else? I think that pretty much covers the day. Couple repetitive put orders that we saw. GNC and GoGo, these are two stocks under $10 now, but if you're looking for a little bit of put action, we did see repetitive put buying in those names, and we covered the ETF flow with the gold miners. So that's it for today. I'll see you back on Tuesday. Thanks for watching today's recap, and have a great night.